Okay, well, hello, y'all, and welcome to our weekly update here at Christ the Redeemer. I am Father Alex, if you are joining us for the first time. And what we're going to do is go through the weekly update, which can be found on Christ the Redeemer's website, which is ctr-htdiocese.org, under the Media tab, under Weekly Update. You can also sign up for our notifications, either by Flocknote or by ParishCast. Or you can message the office here and we will set you up. Our update for June 17th has several pieces of important information. The most immediately important one is that because the weather outside seems to be getting hotter and hotter and hotter, as we ordinarily expect here in South Louisiana, it is becoming dangerously close to the point that we are risking people just passing out at Mass, and we'd like to avoid that for health concerns for all of us. So, for the remainder of the summer, until the weather gets cooler, we're going to have the 9 a.m. Mass indoors, and we will discontinue the Mass on the grass until the weather gets cooler. Hopefully, by the time the weather gets cooler, the need for the Mass on the grass will be gone, and we'll have the coronavirus completely under control, and we'll be able to just continue Mass inside the church as usual. However, preparing for all the possible inevitabilities, it may be possible that we will not be able to have Mass indoors in large numbers without the social distancing when the cool weather comes back. If that's the case, we will restart the Masses outside. So 9 o'clock Mass this weekend will be inside the church. 7, 11, and 4 p.m. will not be changed at all. Second important piece of information is we wanted to remind you or let you know that we do fully intend to have Bible camp this year. It is not going to be the same as it has been in years past. We will have some blended combination of technological activities and hands-on activities that you will be able to do at home. We're not ready at this moment to actually release dates or more concrete details, but it will be in the month of July, and we will have Bible camp. We will have a Bible camp of the highest quality, as we always do, although it will be different. Second thing, youth formation related, is that we have not forgotten about First Communion or confirmation. First Communion information should come to you, parents, either today or tomorrow. If you've already received it, that's fantastic. We know that there are some children that have not yet made their first confessions, and that will be available on the Saturday preceding First Communion, which I believe is the 4th of July. We'll have confession available for you and for your children before First Communion happens. Confirmation in the same way. We will get that information to you shortly, but we have not forgotten about it. But as of this morning, when I was writing our letter, our weekly update, we were not ready to commit to the date for confirmation or the specific date for First Communion, but that is in the works. This Sunday evening, June 21st, will be the Honk and Wave Parade for Father Prentice Tipton. So what that means is we will have an opportunity for you all to come and visit Father Prentice at our parish before he departs. I am trying to... Not going to work. I was trying to get the picture to share it in our chat, but I am not savvy enough to make this work, so we'll just put that. You follow that link, you'll be able to see the picture. Essentially, what we just want to try and accomplish is to help everybody stay off of the roads as much as we can. So we are going to, instead of using that backmost entrance that's close to W.S. Lafog, everyone will come in by the flagpole. You'll loop around the back of the parking lot and then come back up to the family center and then we'll be able to exit on the Talbot Avenue side. That will allow us to have this great flow, and we'll be able to, everybody will be safe, and it'll be easy for everyone involved. So on Sunday evening, but after 5 o'clock, you can swing around to Christ the Redeemer, and you will get the opportunity to say goodbye to Father Prentice and share your love with him at that time. Okay. That's this Sunday, June 21st at 5 p.m. Then we also have, just as a repeat, because we had some issues with our bulletins this weekend, Father Prentice's mailing address at his next parish will be 705 Hoyt Avenue, Saginaw, Michigan, 48607. That is the Cathedral of Mary of the Assumption. So if we could all band together and pray for Father Prentice as he takes up the responsibility of director of that cathedral and one other parish, that will certainly help him as he goes forward into that new assignment. New assignments for priests are always opportunities for growth and new experiences, but are also they're challenging. They're not always super easy. Okay. After that, we have the continued prayer for hurricane season. They ask you guys all to pray for me that hurricane season would go by easily without any other incidents or storms, that it would be a good and light and not too difficult season for the whole of the Gulf South, and I guess and the Pacific Ocean as well. Last thing is just a reminder, thank you. Thank you all for continuing to support Christ the Redeemer in whatever ways you can during this pandemic, and reminding you that to keep us between your gas and electric bill, as Mother Angelica would say, to be between you and the Lord, how you might support and how you wish to support Christ the Redeemer Parish. It is extremely appreciated and awe-inspiring, I guess is the word I want. Like, I am often in awe by the generosity of the faithful of the Catholic Church, and Christ the Redeemer is no exception. So from the bottom of my heart and the most sincere place, thank you. We just got a long way to go. At this point in the year, we are down from where we expected to be. However, that expectation came with it. We were expecting life to be normal, and people to be able to go out and go around, and we be able to just to live our lives ordinarily. And of course, we haven't been able to. And I know some of you guys out there, you feel this probably more acutely than others, as your entire life has been disrupted. Maybe you're out of work, or maybe your life is just disrupted. You've had to close down a business or something like that. This has not been an easy trek for anybody, and nobody has been left untouched by the difficulties surrounding the coronavirus. So let's all stick in this together. Pray for each other every day. Pray for the end of the coronavirus every day. I pray for you guys, and I pray for you guys every day. I pray for the end of the coronavirus. Pray for the end of the unrest around the country, and I pray for protection from storms during hurricane season. Those are the things that always kind of stay close to the top of my heart as we move through the difficult parts of the year. So, open floor. If there's anybody has any questions about the things that we've talked about, or the things that I've talked about, or anything else out in the world, now is a great time to go ahead and ask that question, and I will address all the questions being asked. I was asked a question about whether or not I was asked a question about face masks and outdoor masks. As some of you may know, that in phase 2, the governor said that face masks are not necessarily optional, but suggested, but not necessarily mandatory. However, the direction from the diocese hasn't changed from phase 1. So it seems to be that the expectation from our diocese is that whenever we gather, we would continue to wear our face masks, and that would be an expectation. So I know we're not having mass outside, and that was a place that was possibly a little more lenient. But as we have mass inside, just to remind everybody that wearing the face mask is expected inside the building. And then your face mask should cover your nose and your mouth, especially as we're singing or we're talking. If those things aren't covered, you are sharing whatever you might have. Now, you might not be sick, but we don't know that. None of us know that. Sharing what you have with the people around you. So face masks still very much are expected, especially in the church, inside the church building, and even as we gather outside before and after Mass, that these face masks are not merely an expectation that to sort of like make me happy or make Bishop happy, or however we might phrase it, but that they are a tool that allows us to keep each other safe. Okay, I am not seeing any further questions or any further okay, so there is a question about, and just mess that up, for people with health concerns, is it still okay to watch Mass online? Will it still be online? So yes, the Mass will continue. We will continue live streaming Mass. I am committing to that because I feel it's important, and because Bishop has asked me to, and because it's helpful to you guys. That I will continue streaming Mass until the restrictions for the coronavirus go away. Until, specifically, the thing Bishop has asked us to do, and I think it's a good marker, is as long as the obligation to go to Mass is lifted, they will continue to stream Mass. So the decision to make Mass obligatory will only come whenever it is safe to do so. Bishop has been very clear that he does not want to put anybody in a position where they have to choose between following the church and doing what they feel is safe for them. Of course, you always have this decision and this sort of freedom that if you are ill, even when there's no coronavirus, if you are ill, feel free to stay home to keep everybody safe. You're not obliged to go to Mass when you are ill. And so now it's also extended to everybody, but specifically those who have the health concerns. Now, what you might do on those Sundays is you could certainly watch Mass. You might watch the video on demand later on. You might watch just the homily. And you might, instead of watching the whole Mass, maybe pray the Rosary or pray part of the liturgy, of the hours, so that you can continue to be involved in the devotional life of the church and have your soul nourished, even at a distance, if it is possible. I would also suggest that there are many good, many good spiritual, not rosaries. You always say this every day. Oh my God, spiritual communion prayers that you can use that might be helpful for you. I'm trying to find the one that we use for Mass here. I may not find it fast enough before I need to stop talking. So, text for Mass, there we go. And just to take that prayer, and even though you can't attend Mass, you can still ask the Lord to receive the prayers that you would want to still receive the graces that you would from the Mass if you would be able to attend. Okay. Sweet. We got about a half hour more. I'm not going to keep talking just to hear myself talk. I don't want to challenge whether or not I can actually do that. I've often said that I could. Right now, I'd like to. You can feel free to continue to add your comments, and as we go along, I will try and answer them as best I can. Comments, questions. Right now, I'd like to take an opportunity to speak about some of the events that are going on across the country with the unrest resulting from the death of George Floyd and the call for police reform and the awareness of continuing racism in the United States. Not to rehash everything that has been said already, but the bishops of the United States Conference made it clear that racism made it clear in 2017 that racism is a sin. It's a sinful habit to have. And they defined racism as a sort of pride in one's own ethnic group over and against another. So certainly to have pride in one's culture and history and ethnicity is not a bad thing in and of itself. It has to be coupled with that sort of superiority over everybody else that's rooted not in truth, but is rooted in sort of pride or collectivism or protectionism. And this is not merely something that, this is not like I don't know how to say this. Racism is a inherent evil, not merely something that's unpleasant or rude, but it bespeaks a diminishment of the dignity of that other person. It speaks down to that other person, but that's a coping mechanism. It's age old. Ethnic tension has existed from the dawn of time. It is, I group myself with other people in order to feel superior to those people, whoever they happen to be, so that I am no longer challenged, or they become a threat to me or my safety. Well, maybe that was helpful when we were competing for resources, and certainly to a degree right now we're still competing for resources. It's not like the whole world, it's just so easy to make food or water or safe places. But that has outlived its usefulness. Racism in the United States has been fed by European imperialism incurring in itself into the U.S. If you think back to your American history, all of American history has been rooted in this experience of those people. Our culture, think of the European culture, Great Britain, our culture is so amazing. Now, granted, the original Europeans that came to the Americas came seeking freedom. But that's not the only way it remained. There's clear evidence of competition and diminishment of the native peoples of the Americas, of the American Indians, and pushing them out. This land is for us. You go out over there. And obviously there's a history of that the American peoples pushed out the American Indians away from the prime land that they were farming and essentially ranching on, and gave them the land that they didn't want. What gave us that right? Or what gave the people of the American people that right? And it got no better with the addition of African slaves into the United States, even freed Africans. Maybe in the past it was acceptable to feel to be European was to be so superior, but that was never true. There were great discoveries and innovations across the whole world, and European culture is far overshadowed by other major cultures. And this develops in the United States to what we have now. To a certain degree, the overt racism was not allowed, but it's not that it just went away. It was just now interior. hushed, not spoken about. And because we don't speak about it, we give it extra power it didn't have before. Certainly in the past, it may have had the power of the, it doesn't matter what the truth is, the majority believes this to be true, so it is de facto the truth. But that was never rooted in truth. And it certainly got quiet. It didn't disappear. You shouldn't expect a people to change their minds overnight. And if you think we were doing better in South Louisiana than everywhere else, you just have to remember the after effects of 9/11. I mean, these are the things that I've lived through, but I know there was some serious issues surrounding the Second World War and the treatment of German and Japanese American citizens. And then, if you remember, just after September 11th, the way that Arab Americans were treated, even Arab Americans that were not Muslim, that had no connection with the events in Afghanistan, just became a scapegoat for our anger over the great damage that was done to our nation. Or it has to do with immigration, and all these people from Latin America are just they were just whatever. And this has all been in there. We've just sort of been afraid to talk about it. So the American bishops made it clear in 2017 that racism is itself a sin, and it is the source of many other sins. That there is a certain interior, it's interior to me, that if I perceive myself to be better than other people, or perceive other people to be less than me, that's an idea. But that idea has consequences in the ways that I live, and in the ways that I treat people, and the things I think are okay to think and say. So it's not merely a fact of not doing bad things, but also getting down in the dirty work of in my heart and challenging the things I implicitly believe. Certainly, explicit racism is not healthy, and in my opinion is irrational. But implicit racism is just as big an issue, and at least to understand where you're operating from your presumptions, so that you can be ready to address these things in other ways. When I first started to really think about this incident recently with George Floyd, I knew one of the things that was going to happen is in a couple of days, couple of weeks, you'd finally get the article about how George Floyd had issues in his past life that didn't make him a hero. And to be honest, that's kind of irrelevant. I mean, you replace it with anybody else, it's a tragedy. It's not like just because a person chooses to do bad things, they deserve they deserve to be killed. No. And even if that were the case, even if somebody had done something worthy of the death penalty, before it goes there, they definitely deserve a trial. So even if he didn't do anything, even if he was the worst person in the world, I'm not saying that he was, but this is a thought experiment. Even if he's the worst person in the world, we follow that logic. This shouldn't have happened. And we have an opportunity in the American history to be on the right side of history again. Now, planning on trying to anticipate what the future is going to play out like and acting in accord with that, that's a sketchy thing. That is a difficult thing to do. History usually doesn't look back very favorably on the decisions of the past. But let's not let this one go by on us, y'all. This is an opportunity to make real change and to be able to tell our children and grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, that we saw injustice and we did something about it. We saw somebody doing something wrong, and seriously wrong, and we did something about it. Because that's the only way this gets better, is if you and I pay attention to the people that are within arm's reach, our brothers and sisters, the people we have influence over, the people who listen to us, and challenge them. Hey, what you just said is wrong. Or can you? I particularly like this. Somebody says something that's wrong. What do you mean by that? And often they'll stumble because you're supposed to know. You're supposed to fill in the gaps. I'm not going to say something wrong, but I'll let you fill in those gaps. So I like to shoot back with, well, what do you mean by that? And force them to fill in the gaps and actually say the thing, whether it's racist or sexist or whatever. Because if we looked at this way, the reality is we are kind of abusing each other. And that just can't fly. There's so much in this that is not of Jesus. St. Paul famously said that in Christ there is no Greek or Jew. And a lot of people want to make a big deal about how we shouldn't see color or ethnicity. Look, y'all, I don't think it's a good thing for our Cajun heritage to disappear. I'm not letting that go. The world is impoverished if that happens. So it's not the distinction that's the problem. It's the lack of unity that's the issue. It's that we're all so disconnected that our life is not shared anymore. But instead, we can have all of that. We have all the amazing Cajun food, plus all the awesome soul food. That I don't want to let go of that either. But the disunity, not seeing the personhood of the other people around us, that's the part that has no place in Jesus. That I see these people as so much other that their lives are not even worth defending. And there's something in there that every one of us needs to take a real serious look at. Okay. Those are my collected, discerned thoughts on racism and the events going on around across the country. So if anybody has any questions about any of the things that we have talked about today, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my comments. Because I think some of you guys have made comments and I'm just not able to see them. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to see your comments and be able to react to them. So, nope, must not be right. Okay, well, y'all, this has been a wonderful evening. This is Wednesday, June 16th, preparing for the weekend, which is June 20th and 21st. It's Father's Day, so if you haven't picked up a present for Dad, go ahead and why don't you go ahead and pick that up. You know, it's an interesting thing that came out recently. If you may have seen it on the internet, but this video series, The Chosen, is available on YouTube right now, and they're actually raising money for a second season. That if you're looking for a place to grow yourself, this is a really sweet representation of the way of the life of Jesus Christ, and sort of puts flesh and experience on what's going on out there and in the stuff that happens in the life of Jesus. Okay, well, you guys have a wonderful evening. Hope to see you this weekend. If not, we'll see you the next time that we all get together. Y'all have a nice day. Bye-bye.